Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to those of you around the world. Welcome to the daily Trade the Chain crypto update, where we give you everything you need to know for the next 24 hours and hopefully the next few days. Today is Friday. We are ending the week. It is September 15th, and DXY pulling back a little bit after a big boost yesterday. What's interesting is also equities paring back, and I do, I talked about this yesterday on Trading Rebellion. I do think that if this continues to climb higher, it will put a pin in bullishness for risk. But obviously, we're seeing some weird volatility. But my general thesis has been, head towards 106. Risk is going to sell off in some way, shape, or form. And obviously, risk sold off pretty hard today, at least on the equities side. We had these arrows drawn earlier, and obviously the bearish scenario played out. And I did tell the TTC community that I was feeling bearish today. So very glad to see, vindication there, but obviously not happy to see the stock market pulling back. What do we expect next? Let me get rid of these lines for you guys. Obviously, we're heading into the weekend. So what happens, now or this afternoon could completely change heading into Monday, but the general thesis is, we obviously got held right here at this 44.65 level, which we defined as being important, hence the trend line. So if we break lower, my next thought is 4440, and then you've got this little kind of demand zone right here that we popped into and then popped back out of, and obviously did not touch. So would expect 4440 to be pretty strong. But obviously, if this whole area does break, if we don't break up, then, we're pretty much going to be heading down towards this area right here. So very much something to watch out for. I highly doubt we're going to see anything crazy heading into the end of the session. But obviously, if this low is broken, we are definitely going to tag this low, and more likely than not, the 4440 number. So something to watch out for there. For Bitcoin, a little bit tougher. A lot of people were long, or were putting bullish bets, or at least posting bullish posts on Twitter right around this level, and I didn't really love it. No change in open interest whatsoever during this entire time. So, you could tell that, there weren't a whole lot of bullish bets being made. And obviously we sold off, just before the open. And it's important to remember there's also a conference going on. And very rarely do we, perform bullish during a conference. So that's kind of a meme, if you will. But, obviously playing out ever since the conference started, we have topped. So it always happens. And, something else that scares me a little bit is, pretty much all of the bullish trajectories. If we, pull it from the, early, where the bottom was, it's broken. So, pretty much if you are a bull, there isn't too much left other than the 26.1K number, which, we're hovering right above. And this is important. It's got confluence of, it's the high from last week, not the high from last week. I forget. I honestly forget why 26.1 is extremely significant, but it's just a really good looking trend line. And I know that doesn't sound very scientific, but it's been on my radar for quite some time. And so what it coincides with is the Monday high from September 3rd. It's just been kind of sitting here. But as you can see here, deviation above, drop back lower, deviation above, held at, right here and then popped back up. So it's been a significant level. And if this does not hold, meaning if we don't jump up here, we've got the 1 hour estimated 200 moving average. We've got the weekly VWAP. So this should be a pretty solid level, in my opinion. But, the difficulty is we've got so much chop. And right here, typically you'd enter some shorts here. Typically you'd enter some shorts here. And obviously you're sitting in profit. But, RSI beginning to get a little bit oversold as well. And the big interesting thing to me, and obviously this has happened, a couple times before, so you can't really call it out for being the top, but we're definitely seeing some open interest pull back here as well, which definitely indicates some longs closing because we're obviously moving lower while that's paring back. So, that's certainly, it's a long squeeze, if you will. And then if we head over here, let me go ahead and reset this for you guys. I'm not seeing a whole lot of spot interest. If we look at the delta on spot, definitely a little bit this morning, a little bit, earlier, but after this dump, I mean, there's been very little interest. And sure, you've got some Coinbase buys and Bybit is longing, but this isn't anything that gives me confidence. It's very even in terms of the buying and selling when it comes to spot, especially with open interest pulling back. And you've got perps, lifting a little bit higher than spot right now, which shows probably some longs entering here, but spot's really not picking that up. So all the signals are kind of pointing to a little bit lower for me, but the critical level, which kind of makes me doesn't want to take shorts, is what if we just drop to 26.1, sweep this level, and then zoom back up? Like, that's not a great trade in my opinion. It's a little bit too much risk for the reward, because where would you set your stop? I guess you could set your stop up here, but that's not a very sexy trade for me. So I think it's best to play patient. My original trigger was under 26.4, which I probably should have taken this morning, but just didn't love it. So my personal belief is down, but 26.1 is going to be a difficult level to break, in my opinion. If anything, let me get rid of these lines, and this is what I probably expect to happen over the weekend if we don't just drop lower from here. But something like this, where we kind of come right back up, sweep that level, and then head lower. I think this makes a little bit more sense and why I'm weary to get into short. But if we do break below 26.1 cleanly, I would say it's not going to be a straight line down, but maybe something like this or lower. And then looking at ETH, ETH actually looks a little bit better. It's actually much more clean in terms of trade opportunities. So we swept this level right here, which is definitely something for the bulls. And so implies, bouncing back up to the highs of 1645. And then if we end up breaking these lows, we'll end up heading down to the 1600 level. There is some confluence at the 1620 level. You've obviously got the 1 hour estimated 200 moving average. You've got the top of the VWAP channel, but then you've got the weekly VWAP hovering down here around 1600. So if we do drop to 1600, this is like kind of basically the same level as Bitcoin being at 26.1. So, I think you've got a clearer trade here if you are bullish. Stop at the lows, long up. So ETH has a clearer trade. And then if we, speaking on the, if we do drop lower, I would expect, maybe we come down here and sweep this and move back up. And then this is our move down. So, I can't trust shorts right now, although my bias is bearish, because I do think that, I've kind of been of the opinion there's definitely some more juice to squeeze. But after this morning dropping straight lower, I believe, in my opinion, that juice is diminished. But it doesn't mean we can't just see some ugly volatility. And what did we do last Friday? Like, remember Thursday? So, we've obviously been, kind of going up this whole week. But, let's just kind of think about it in the same context as last week. So Monday, we didn't dump, we swept. Think about it like this. Here's the sweep. We moved up, right? Just like this. We had, a couple of tweezers, then we dropped, and then we just kind of stayed flat for the entire weekend. And then we ended up dumping on the Monday. So what if we drop down? Let me get rid of these right here just to make it a little more clear. So what if we drop down here, which is 26.1, and then we spend all weekend doing this shit? And then Monday, we're down here. Is that so hard to believe? It's really not. And we could even drop here and have a spike up here and then drop lower. So, I think that is the most likely case. The market, it really does give you patterns sometimes, and the market really does like threes. So in my opinion, I think that's a kind of a good idea to take. Is we end up, shuffling down. We chop around here all weekend, crab market, and then we end up heading lower on Monday. And I mean, obviously that could depend on what equities do, but there we go. Equities breaking those lows, short trigger is there. So we'll have to see if crypto follows. Obviously this is a much bigger drop than what Bitcoin experienced during the same time frame this morning. I mean, we're both on the 1 hours here, and as you can see, a much higher drop, but Bitcoin's still holding up strong, which is something to take note of. And if equities are continuing to drop and Bitcoin staying strong, maybe that short thesis doesn't work out. But usually crypto is just on a delay for equities. So I would expect, and I think, it's like a market maker, let's make them think that there's relative strength. They long at 26.1, and then we'll, take all their liquidity and then murder them lower. So I think, important to watch this. If this closes, beneath this level, obviously, I mean, it's a fresh hourly, so it could still kind of sweep back up. But I do think that this is going to head lower. If this does head lower, it would absolutely shock me if crypto does not follow it. So that's really what I'm looking at for this weekend. So drop, chop, drop is what I think the future of crypto is heading into next week. So good luck. Happy trading. See everybody tomorrow.